Hey neighbors, how are you? You got June Loiza here, you got Kevin, and you got Yu-kai. We're really excited to be talking today, especially because right now, if you're looking at the crypto market, you're seeing a crash. You're seeing something of a bear market. If I look at my coins right now, I'm down, I think, more than 50% from my all-time highs. Kevin, Yu-kai, I know you have invested a lot in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some other things. Yu-kai, I think you have some ape coin.
Yeah, it's a Bitcoin, and that obviously didn't go so well. But I mean, that's fine. I've invested in crypto like with Bitcoin when it was $1,000, right? And
Yeah,
then it
yeah.
dropped and it went up and down, dropped to 300, up to 10, drops to 4. So I actually don't feel a thing. It's actually just part of the breathe in, breathe out process.
Well, it's great that you're able to ride those roller coasters. What about you, Kevin? What's the last thing that you invested in?
I only invest FTX token. They call FTT token on blockchain, and other time I just short the market because I think the bear market is coming. Yes, I have
Yeah.
talked to all other neighbors on the February. I feel like the bear market is coming, so I just sell all my spot and then I
Yeah.
turn on my arbitrage machine. So just let the machine run my trading strategy. And right now it turns out fair. So I just show all the BTC and ETH. I earn a
Wow.
little bit money. Yes.
Look at you go, man.
I'm doing the opposite right now. I'm buying a bit more as it drops.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
know
I
you
think
can you do that often, right? You buy, well, when it goes up a certain amount, you sell 30%. You have a certain strategy that you'd like to stick to.
Yeah. So I think the analogy that helped me a lot over the years is that, investing in these things is like a man walking his dog down the street. It's like the dog is hyper, running over, chasing after birds and squirrels, and everyone likes to pay attention to the dog, right? That's the stock price. Like, oh, where's it going now? It's going back and up and down. But what you really need to pay attention to is where the owner is going. The owner is going to his office at, whatever, 10 miles an hour, whatever speed. I think that's really fast, right? It's like 4 miles per
Well,
hour.
that's a fast walk.
And so the dog eventually will go there too because the owner's going there. So if so, the only reason why you would liquidate or sell or completely sell is if you feel like the thesis is wrong. The owner no longer is going to the office, is going somewhere else, or is getting hit by a bus and is going to the hospital, right?
My
If you
goodness.
believe the owner, like 5, 10 years from now, this is going to be the mainstream thing in the world. Like people are going to be using this heavily. Then when it goes down, you buy more. And when it goes up, you sell a bit. So that you're prepared that it goes down, you have more capital to put it back in. So
Yep.
that's my simple strategy. Like
I
when
love it.
Bitcoin was at 21K, right? It dropped to 16K, I bought some, 12K, I bought some, 8K, I bought some, and it dropped to 3K, right? And at that point, it's like, oh, I've been an idiot, right? Everything is losing money. But at 3K, I bought some. And then as we know that it all worked out really well because later it went to the 60s and now 30s. So it's either way, it's still good. So I'm buying as it drops. Not a lot. Like I'm not like dumping all my stuff in. I'm like buying a little bit as it drops because I don't know what the bottom is, but I'm just, putting a bit more as it drops.
So it's great that we're talking about this. So as everything is falling, I know a lot of people are feeling nervous. A lot of people are feeling nervous because either they bought crypto or they bought NFTs, and now all that hype is starting to come down. A lot of investors are tightening up. Either they've sold or they don't know what to do. So we want to talk a little bit about this bear market and what it's going to do to Metablox, right? So with any NFT project, if we're the ones walking the dog, Yukai, we have to think about where do we want to go? Where are we going to be, not just in 1 year, but in 2 years, in 5 years, and in 10 years? And when you're looking to invest in these NFT projects, that's how you should look at it. So you have to look at the founding team, you have to look at the core product, you have to look at the vision, and why this is going to be adding value in the future. So something, Yukai, maybe we can start with is something you've told me in the past really resonated with me, is that with many projects, oftentimes you're looking to buy and you're looking for the next, like you're just looking to speculatively hold and hoping that the next person is going to buy for more money from you. But really, there's no reason for that other than that hope and that dream, that speculation. UK, could you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, let me just say, so I personally believe the true value, the utility value of something is if you get it at a certain price and you'll never be able to sell it to someone else at a higher price. Maybe at best it's still the same price, but you still want to own it. Right. And
Mm,
that's the true value of it because beyond that, it's really just, hey, someone else going to buy it at a higher price and that person buys it because someone else going to buy it at a higher price. It's not because what that thing is actually worth to people consuming it. It's just, they think they can through storytelling narrative, trick someone else. So it's, it's called the bigger fool theory, right? And that's, how a lot of markets work. A lot of things go up in value because perception wise, people see it more valuable and they believe other people see it more valuable and buy it. But ultimately, it's good to have foundational value, and say, hey, this is something that people will want anyway, regardless if someone else will buy it at a higher price.
Yep. So let's start from the very basics. We're talking about going into this bear market, and we always talk about how Metablox is ready for any type of bear market, and we're going to rise from the ashes like a phoenix. Like we are ready and we're built for it. So I'll start off maybe with a little bit of that. So both Yuka and I have been bootstrapping this company, and we've also raised a small pre-seed round. Now, we've been very selective with our investors, very selective to make sure that our investors are bought into the mission, that they believe in the founders, they believe in the mission, and they're not going to go in and will pretty much try to dominate and try to make us make money now, or try to make us 10x right now and do what it takes to drive as many users, spend as much money right now to get to our next series B or C. So we've been really good at raising money from these types of investors. Hasn't been a lot of capital, but it's a small pre-seed amount that is enough to give us a runway. And if you really look at it, we have a runway of, if we really want to stretch it, if we really want to, at minimum 2 years. At 2 years at the current pace, and you've seen the pace that we've been building product features right now leading up to Mint, Kevin, Leo, Kobe, but all of us working really hard to get this launched. And that's with a very lean team.
And that's if we make zero revenue.
And that's if zero,
like no
zero
one
mint.
mints our blocks out. We sell zero NFT in 2 years. We can last for 2 years. And at least, we know I want to say we know at least one person. We know, hundreds if not thousands of people who want to mint our blocks. So, and this is not something we're saying now, right? Go back to our videos from when we just started, 4 months ago, 5 months ago. We've been saying the same thing over and over. And I think this crash actually is actually quite okay for us. Like we feel like we're totally fine with this crash because of what Ju was talking about. We're not trying to scale early. We've been telling from the beginning, like, hey, this is not the project to, get rich in 3 months, right? So we purposely are not trying to use get rich to attract thousands of people into our community. We say, hey, believe in our long-term vision, believe in this project because it's something you give to your grandchildren. Like you preserve your memory to your grandchildren. The blocks is valuable in 3 to 5 years. Because it has so much purpose and meaning into it. We had made videos about that. Because it has so much meaning in it, people just want to keep it. They want to say it, and then grows in value over time, just like a museum historical site. So I think we're actually not as effective as other communities that is like, hey, get rich. Like they spend all this money to just attract random people who want to do it. So I think people here are people who see the long-term value. They like it. They want to invest in the long term. So I honestly think, and this actually becomes more a safe haven, because when things are so flustering, it's like, oh, it's so crazy. I don't know where to go. You want to go to the place that offers stability with safety. It's not this most exciting, like promising you, riches, but it's like, hey, this is a stable community. Everyone's passionate about it. Everyone believes in these values in heart, because that's the thing about purpose and meaning, right? It doesn't matter if times are good or times are bad. Your values, your faith, right? Your purpose in life, it stays the same. That's how you actually know if it's higher meaning, right? It's like, it doesn't matter if you're going through good times or bad times. These values, this meaning that you subscribe to lasts forever. And this is where I think we actually become more attractive in a down market.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we have to look at is look at the .com crash. It destroyed many companies, but it also showed you what were the companies that were built to last. What were the companies that were really built to move forward and come out of that? I mean, we're talking about Google, we're talking about Apple, these companies that were able to really provide value to its users. And that's the utility aspect, Yu-kai, that you were talking about. Like if you were to own Metablox and nobody else was going to buy that from you, would it still be valuable to you? And we resoundingly believe that yes, passing on these memories or being a memory curator and be able to craft that entire history of a location is something important. Not even if not just for yourself, but for humanity to look back and think about how did we get here?
Yeah, just look at Joe in our Discord community, right? Joe, we just met him a few months ago from the Discord, and he says that he didn't believe in NFTs because he thought NFT is just people trying to sell the same thing for a higher price and all that stuff. And he didn't really feel like there's any higher purpose in meaning. And then he found our project And he's like, wow, this is so cool. I really believe in the meaning. And that's where he jumped in. He's a very active community. Now he's actually helping us on the team, right? After he traveled to Miami to meet us. So he's helping us manage the community. But you could see that for him, the traditional NFT kind of lure wasn't interested in him, but the unique meaning and purpose we have got him so interested. Not only is he participating in the community, he's actually helping us push the mission further. And he said, because of Metablox, he's now more open to other NFT projects too. And it opened up a world for him. So
It opened the gateway. He's got so many NFTs now.
yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. But I think that's the key thing here for if we want to be strong in a down market, it's to make sure that there's, just like, remember Obama when he ran for president, it was in the 2008 depression, recession. He was like, hope we can believe in, right? And Metablox, we want to be the hope people can believe in.
I hope so, man. I hope so. So we have two really great questions for our community that I want to get to from Brad Q and from Meta Loki. But before we get there, we've had a common question that has been asked by many of our members. And Yuka, hopefully you can take this one. So the question is, what is our expectations for minting out? Are we expecting to mint out 100%? So why do they ask this question? And it makes sense because so many of these NFT projects, the goal is to completely mint all 10,000 and then hopefully get a lot of trading back and forth to escalate the price, to drive the price up. And then that's how the first buyers, the early buyers, the people that are on the whitelist are able to get a much higher value on their NFT.
Yeah, we actually, sorry, go ahead.
So just to add one thing, Yu-kai, I was just going to say, and that's great for them. And if you've been involved in that's fantastic. That is a lot of speculation. You're hoping that somebody else is going to buy it at a higher price. But from our perspective, I want to make sure that everyone understands that we do not have the expectation to sell out, nor that we need to sell out. Really, the key here is that there are certain parts, the certain areas in each geographical location that are going to have the most value. In essence, it's going to be those locations that have the most memories. The way we've designed it is those locations that are near, those blocks that are near those landmarks. And so what you have is what we're expecting to see is the tier 5 and the tier 4. These are the rarest and most valuable blocks. Those are the ones that are going to sell out quickly. And then some of the tier 3, then some of the tier 2, and probably the tier 1, the least amount. But I think that's okay. Yuka, you said something recently that I think really resonated with me as well, is that just like in the real world, when you're building real estate, it takes time. Over time, eventually, each one gets bought up and each one gets a story, an owner, some kind of a history behind it. And we expect something similar. Yuka, go ahead. You were saying something.
I think you just answered the whole thing for me. Like, that's exactly my spiel.
No, you always add something though. You always
that was my whole spiel.
Well.
But
was that the whole spiel?
That was the whole spiel. But I want to say that, yeah, I think the question is really good. Like, and actually I'm really happy with people asking the question because a lot of people in our community, they're saying, hey, I want to buy a lot of blocks, but right now for whatever reason, I can only buy a few of these NFTs, a few blocks, and we're worried that you won't sell out. And is that a bad thing, right? And so they actually want to buy more, but they care about a project. And like maybe we shouldn't launch with Miami. We should only launch with San Francisco to make sure we sell out. And I think it's like Gene said, it's that Metablox is truly non-fungible in the sense that they're all so different and we don't need to sell it. If you have a art collection that has 10,000, they all mostly look the same, right? It's like, just different hats, different glasses, different like smiles. And, unless maybe some of them you actually say, hey, this looks good, or I like these glasses, right? But generally most of the time it's about getting in. Like I want to own one of them. I want to own one of them because they're mostly about the same. But in Metablox, like you said, it's like the real world, right? Every location is so different that just some places everyone's fighting after. And then some places no one cares about until, the people who live there actually own the blocks, or this whole city becomes so sought after that it's too expensive. So they have to go rural. They have to go to the outskirts. And it's just like New York wasn't built in a day, right? At the beginning of the problem, New York is the center and eventually expands. So for our collection, our goal is to make as many blocks available as possible. But the goal is not to say, hey, on day one, in the next few hours, every block needs to sell out. I think it's actually more useful for us that people with memories for that location own blocks as opposed to just grab something random and then They just sits there and does nothing, right? And so we're not too worried about that. What we want to look at is people reserving blocks at the sought after places. We want to see people care about landmarks. We want to see people upload memories. Again, that's our purpose. Our purpose is not to, get people to own as many locations as possible. Our purpose is to preserve humanity's most important memories. And so we want to see people who have blogs, they're uploading memory, they're curating memories that other people upload, and they're attracting them to, hey, please come and submit your memories. And people doing memory marks. They're tagging these memories as inspiring, heartwarming, solid, and enjoyable. So those are the things we really want to see. But we're not worried a single bit about selling out. I think any amount of blocks we sell, I think that will be useful in terms of, like Jun just said, we have 2 years of runway. We could have more runway, or we could, obviously even expand during hard times and bring in more features faster, bring in more cities.
Yeah. Absolutely. Kevin, chime in anytime you want. Yuka, I just want to add, I said everything, and look at that. You were able to produce even better.
I guess I just regurgitated what you said in a more skillful way.
My responsibility is to use my skill to faster the delivery. That's my responsibility, yes. And this is really good challenge because, yes, Metablox is delivered really fast for every engineering teammates. They work really hard, and even we help each other to remove the impediment. So that's why we can move really fast. And also I have saw some neighbors says, hey, Metablox is really, it's not as same as other Web3 project because we have Stripe, we have accepted USDT to buy the blocks. So yes, I say, yes, this is also my first time to do the most complex. I think it's the most complex checkout types for the Metablox neighborhoods. But I think this is a really good because many people can start onboarding to the Web3 project with maybe traditional payment like using the Stripe or using the debit card, credit card to buy the NFT and then start their journey on the Metablox. So that's why I think even if this is really challenging, but I still spend many time to remove those impediments to making more people to learning about Web3 and stepping to the metaverse world. And maybe we can reserve many more memories in the future to our grandson, or maybe even we can we can co-work with the government to make the history preserve to the grandson or our child's.
I love it. I love that, Kevin. And Yu-kai, those backgrounds, man, there was like this animated one. They're like spaceships going around. I think that's pretty cool.
Yep, just having fun.
Let's go with, let's go with the questions from our neighborhood. So the first one is going to be here from Brad Q. Hey, Brad, always good to be chatting with you. So I'm going to read it and we'll go from there. So suggestion, could you talk about how the bear affects neighbors? I think those who have been around here a while know that Metablox can withstand the bear. You all have planned for it, Bootstrapped, careful about investors, long play. What doesn't get talked about much is how consumers should think and act. We are all being asked to put money into Metablox for the first time, most probably $1,000 to $2,000, with Austin and New York coming right behind. Likely New York and Singapore, but we'll give a more resounding update there. And then that would be another $1,000 to $2,000. Wallets are down big. We're going to be paying basically double on Matic from 2 months ago. Question, Kevin, how does this impact our gas fee for Matic, this bear market? Does that impact it at all?
No, but the gas fees depends on how many people trading in the concurrent time. But for my experience, if we go to the bear market, the gas fee will be lower because the first thing is most speculator maybe leave the market, so there will don't have too many transactions at the same time, so the gas fee will go lower. And the second time is because many people is just leave, so the gas fee is really low, and maybe you can pay really cheap to move faster. So if right now compared to the last year, maybe you need to pay maybe $1 to make a normal transaction with 30 seconds. But right now, maybe you can using only 0.1 or maybe 0.001 USD dollars
Mm-hmm.
to
Yep.
do a normal transaction, and maybe it's just like 10 seconds or even 2 seconds. We
Yep.
are using the Polygon, so it's really
Yeah,
fast.
so for Polygon, I was never worried
good.
because it's usually that's the whole point of going with Polygon, right? They're great with low gas fees, but still on the Ethereum mainnet. But yeah, so it's always been sub $1, I think. I think what it might affect is people who want to mint on Ethereum. That gas fee will definitely be lower, right? Because again, the traffic is lower and on the network, and also ETH is worth less. So of course, if you keep holding your ETH,
Yep.
it balances out because you lose your ETH value, but then the gas fee is lower. But if you're buying ETH just to do the gas fee, then it's going to be a lot cheaper.
Yep. Cool. So let's go to the question here. The crux of the question is, we're down big. We were down big. We're going to be basically playing double on Matic some 2 months ago. How would you two advise us and new neighbors to think and act? What about people who have lost liquidity and are thinking about minting half of what they reserved or less, or not minting? What about those who are bullish on Metablox for the long term, but are hurt in the short term, or thinking about a crypto winter that might mean no quick flips and profits for a while? That's a question by Brad Q. Brad, I think that's a great question. All of us are down big that have been holding crypto. I don't think anyone has really survived. Like, all the coins are down big time. So all of us have a purchasing power that is less now. And the way we've structured Metablox and the minting is based on the fiat side. So $100 for a tier one, and I'm talking about only phase one around. So $100 for tier one, all the way up to $500 for tier five. So today we want to make a really important announcement. We feel this, we care about our neighborhood. We want to make sure that what you wanted to mint from the very early days when you were with us in December or November or in January, you're still able to mint today, even though your purchasing power is down 50%. So what we're going to do, announcing today, is that if you are a reservation holder, then your minting price is going to be cut by 50%. So that means that if you are a reservation holder for our tier one blocks, your tier one blocks would originally be $100. It's going to be $50. If you hold a tier five blocks, it was going to be $500. We're going to cut it to 50% to $250. And there actually have been many neighbors who have referred their friends and gotten a discount. So it'll be on top of your discount. So if you already have a discount, it'll be another 50% cut from there to make sure that everyone gets that same benefit. And we're doing this because we care. We're doing this because we want to make sure that the people who have been here with us from the beginning, and even though we feel we're moving fast, I know that it does take a while to get to fruition and get to minting. We wanted to get it to in April, but now we're in May and everyone got killed in the past month. So we want to make sure that we're giving back to you, to the neighborhood, and you're able to mint the blocks that you wanted to mint.
Yeah, so I think that's very important. And by the way, just for everyone to be clear, previously the rules were during minting, which is May 23rd, the people who have reserved blocks have a 48-hour window to reserve their blocks, right? And this is supposed to be phase one pricing. No matter what happens out there, if other people mint and the mint price is more expensive out there, it's always phase one for the reservation first 48 hours. Now, if you do not mint your reservation in the 48 hours, then for the next 24 hours, it opens up to the waitlist. If you go to metablox.co and you see it's reserved, you can still be on the waitlist. So we'll send an email to everyone on the waitlist that, hey, this blocks is now available to you because the reservation person didn't reserve it. And it's first come, first served. That's also going to be phase one pricing. And then once they don't do it for this 48 plus 24 hours, then it opens back to the public. And that's the mint price will then sync up with the public pricing. So that's what it was before. And now we're saying that if you are part of the reservation, Gina, are we also doing it for waitlist people? Okay.
Yeah. So what we'll do is if you have a reservation, that phase one price will be cut by 50%. And if you're on the wait list, that reservation holder did not mint and you get it on the wait list, then it'll be 50%. But once it's open to the public, it'll be the normal pricing. So whatever the phase one or phase two or phase three pricing, like as an example, a phase two, right, is a 50% increase. So that $100 tier one is now $150. That $500 tier five is now $750. that will not be cut by 50%. So this is only to our reservation holders. So it's a strong incentive. If you do have friends, family, people that you're connected to in the NFT space, you let them know that this is a great opportunity to get in at below the phase one pricing. So you'll be able to get it at 50% off only if you are a reservation holder or a
We
waitlist
want
member.
to show appreciation to those who believed in us early. Before we had a platform, before we showed we could execute on what we promised, right? Because there's lots of projects with just a roadmap and no execution. We're like, you believe in us and we want to make sure you benefit from it. And I think, hopefully we've reached like a bottom, right? We've reached some support lines, but, because crypto gets cut by half, but we cut our prices by half. So, supposedly there wouldn't be any, at least financial reasons to say, oh, now I can't afford it, or it should be the same amount of affordability as you were before. If not, and if it bounces back later, that's such a good deal, right? Because we're not going to take back our announcement. So it's suddenly like everything's like you can buy double the amount. But same reminder, like we want to make sure you're not going into debt. You're not like maxing a credit card just to buy blocks. We don't need that money. We create this to help people to think it's something meaningful. Gina and I put a lot of money into it, but we know that each of this is still just a project that people should enjoy, make their lives better, and see it go up. So don't put your life into that risk for this. For any crypto project, for any blockchain NFT stuff, right? No matter how much they promise you, like, oh, you're gonna get 100 times, so whoa, you should put all your money to. No, they'll never do that. Just put in what you feel comfortable and risking. Because every project had risks, right? War sometimes happens. Depression happens. But out of all the projects out there, like I said, we believe in Metablox the most. We think it has the strongest resilience for any types of ups and downs, and we believe that we have runway. We're not scaling too early, so we have runway. We even had this joke about our strategy called a ham turtle, which in maybe another video we'll talk about. But we focus on longevity. We focus on meaning. And so we think we're a good, safe haven to put your money. We'll take care of that if we're working hard every day to make sure it happens. But just a reminder, like, and if any NFT project tells you otherwise, like, hey, like max out your credit card or, take out all your savings, like immediately, like throw it away, because they're not honest people.
Run the other way.
Like, this is meaningful. It shouldn't run your whole life. You should you should spend time with your family. You should be able to, save up for your children's education. All that stuff I think is important, right? And outside of that, Metablox, I think, is a project that we think is very promising. And I think if you're watching this video, you probably already want to put some of your investment in.
Yeah, I think on that note, I recently went to Denver with my family, and we spent some good time. And you know what I wanted? I wanted a blocks there. And I wanted to add my memories there.
I have that feeling. I have a lot of that feeling a lot these days. Like everywhere I go, number one, I think, oh, why is there no blocks here? And number two is, and when I look at the blocks, like, oh, I went to this opera house, Angel. Oh, we didn't take any photos. I regret every trip that we didn't take photos on. And I also regret every place I get that we still don't have a Blockster yet. But, that's what we're trying to solve.
Well, actually, I'm going to do a tangent real quick. Well, actually, before I do the tangent, I'm going to do one more tangent. So Kevin, I know we've been talking about getting to minting Monday, May 23rd. That's priority number one, and we're not going to move that date. So adding this 50% discount is going to require more Eng scope. So please sync with Leo so that we make sure that we're still going to be Eng complete by the end of this week. Do all the testing next week. But this 50%, I'll write up the doc. Like, this is the first time we're announcing it. I'll write up the doc on Slack as well to make sure that you're in sync and Leo's in sync as well. Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is really fast because we just applied the discount, and I have write the meeting notes to Nate, Kobe, and Leo. No, and
thank you.
And I will announce the new requirements on the channel to sync the requirements.
Thank you, Kevin. That's great. So Yu-kai, I wanted to ask a question about that. So I know normally people are using things like Instagram or something else, Snapchat, whatever it may be, to record their memories. And I stopped using Instagram, to be honest, for many reasons. One, it can be very distracting, right, to go through the feed, but let's put that aside for a second. Why do you think we feel that desire so much with Metablox to take a picture and then root the blocks? Like, is it that we're just biased, Yu-kai, that this is our product and we're like, oh, we really want to use our product? Or is there something else going on? You're right. I'm talking about gamification, the Octalysis framework for
So
Metablox versus
absolutely,
Instagram.
we are super biased, right? Core Drive 4, ownership possession means that, when you even like if people own a project, right? If you own an NFT, you own an investment, you're already biased, right? In terms of like, I think this has higher chance of being successful. Now we're even more biased. We created this, and like if any founder tells you they're not biased, they're like super liars, right? So we're super biased. We love this. We put in our money, our sweat, our tears, our heart into this. We're biased. We believe it's gonna be. I mean, if we don't, why are we working on it, right? So we believe in it. But beyond that, I think there's these aspects where I think one very important thing is that scarcity. So when things are scarce, it makes it more valuable, right? And the thing with Instagram, a lot of these photos, there's so many photos that it loses value. It's like, oh, and oftentimes you don't even go back to them because there's so many. Like you don't go back to your memories on Instagram 7 years ago, 10 years ago that you visit this place, right? I mean, the Instagram interface isn't even optimized for that. Instagram is optimized for, oh, today, yesterday, what's the exciting thing? What's the FOMO? What are your friends doing that you weren't doing, right? That's what it's optimized for. For Google Photos, it's a little bit better for finding like memories. There's good like search terms. You can find like, oh, at the beach or something, right? And you can find a little better. But there's still just so much of it. Like I sometimes want to go back. It's like, oh, I can't find it for like 15 seconds and I'm just going to be gone. And so we know that when things are more limiting, it actually creates value. This is why, for instance, Twitter became so big early on. Like Twitter, everyone says, oh, Twitter's like a Facebook. Your Facebook can share status messages, but it just limits your message, right, to 140 characters. But because it's limited to 140 characters less, it seems more valuable, right? Snapchat, when it came up, it had one gimmick, which is the messages disappear. Oh, and these Gen Z people who are sending messages everywhere, like there's all this abundance. And they're like, oh, but something that's temporary is valuable. We want to pay attention to it because it's going to be gone soon. And of course, Instagram took a lot of their strategies over. So Instagram has a stronger base. But we know that when things are scarce, it becomes more valuable. I don't know if you've seen that. It wasn't necessarily a good movie, but it's like a Ben Affleck movie where he like sees the future. Like he does some project and then he sees the future. And he gets a huge payout, but then he gets rid of all his money and then he has a memory wipe. And then he's like, oh, my paycheck. He's like, oh, why is there just a paperclip? What happened to my money? Yeah.
Oh,
and
right. Paycheck,
yeah. And he says that
right.
because he knows that if there's only a paperclip, then his brain will be on this paper. He will value this paperclip. But if it's the paperclip and all his money, he wouldn't care about the paperclip, right? So when there's less, we care about it more. And so that in the movie, so that we would actually think about what was the future to solve and lead up to all the clues. So for Metablox, we limit how many memories people can put per blocks, right? That's the memory slot design. Goes up if you level the blocks up, etc. But you just want to see, hey, those are the 12 defining moments of my life. The place that I had my child. We were so happy here. Oh, it's so great. Like those are the ones that we want to remember and see, when we show at weddings, right? When we do weddings, a lot's like, oh, look, this is me when I was a baby. Oh, this is when we first met, my wife and I, right? Those key we're not like imagine you have a wedding and it's like, hey, here's my 10,000 photos I took on Instagram and just run all of that. Like this is every time I like dated with my wife, every single photo we took. And this is like year 1, year 2, year 3. Like, I think that gets boring for everyone, So I think it's about making sure that it's scarce and therefore it's valuable, it's meaningful. It's the ones that you really think are important. And I think we want to find as many of these good memories as possible to make sure that the memory slots have the best memory. Maybe one time you say, hey, this is so great. I want to replace one of the memory slot memories. And that's great because you improved your collection. So that's the scarcity component. Finally, I know this has been going on for a while, but the ownership happens too, because now when you do Instagram, you don't feel like, when you upload memories to, you don't feel like you're increasing value for your asset, right? Your account, right? We talk about for Metablox player types, there's people who go for meaning. There's people who go for value, which is their blocks go up in value. They can make money. It's a good investment. And so unless you're an influencer with millions of followers, you don't think what you're doing is like growing, making your account more valuable. And even that, it's still marginal. But for Metablox, that if you have good memories and people are memory tagging it, your investment becomes more valuable. And I think that gets a lot of people excited about, uploading memories too.
Absolutely, man. Love it. Let's go to the next question, which is from Metaloki. Also a great question. So Metaloki is asking, to add on, what is Metablox's expectation for mint percentage and way forward if we do not achieve target mint, given all the reasons above? So I think this is a follow-up to Brad Q's question, where people have like half of their purchasing power from before. And with our announcement, if you made a reservation, in addition to any discounts that you've already gotten, we're going to discount that 50%. So that 50% drop that's happened from, in the past 2 months or month that's happened, you still now have the same purchasing power if you have a reservation. So that's one. So then the question is, what is our mint percentage expectations? So our expectations are this. I think we talked about this in the beginning. We do not expect, and it's not even a requirement for us to mint 100% of all the blocks that we have in San Francisco or in Miami. So that's number one. Number two is we have seen some very, very strong demand for tier 5 and tier 4. Basically, as soon as we allowed for reservation,
I think
in a few days, those are all fully
tier
reserved.
5s usually. Yeah.
Was it a few? Okay, well, it was really quick. It was a really short span. And we do expect all the tier 5 and the tier 4 to be minted 100%. So that's that aspect of it. Then from that, if you're looking at San Francisco and Miami, I think both are very close to about 40% minted. Miami's maybe a little bit less, maybe around 36%. Sorry. Reserved. So what we're hoping for, and we've been talking about this, the goal is somewhere around 1,000 blocks minted, both in San Francisco and in Miami. That is our success metric. Of course, it's aggressive, right? Those are well beyond all the tier 5 and the tier 4. But we're very confident that we have the neighborhood, we have the community, and we have the value in the product that we feel that we can get there. Even if we don't get there, I think for sure we're going to get past phase 1 going into phase 2. So even at minimum going into phase 2, when you mint the blocks, you're at least going to get that appreciation.
Yeah. Our project is so unique that we honestly worry about different things. Like I said, we're fine with our revenue. We're not like in a project where it's like 3 guys who haven't done much and they just want to quickly figure out how to collect a bunch of revenue. Like Jude and I, we've done good things in the past. We have enough income to, and past savings to like be afloat, just support our families and invest in this, right? So we're not worried about making money fast or cashing out or anything like that. We just want to invest in this project and grow it. That's number one. Number two is that, I think anyone who, because of the market conditions up and down, anyone who mints our NFT, we're grateful, we're happy, and we want to see what happens there. We want to see people upload memories. So the things we worry about is not what percentage of the NFTs we want to read, because if that's what we care about, why not? We just have less NFTs available. Like, why do we open a second city, a third city, a fourth city, right? We just have less. So we'll have like sellout, and it'll seem like, oh, everyone's fighting for the fewer blocks that are all sold after. Why do we even open up to more outskirt areas that we know people don't care about as much? But we want to make these places available because we want people to, put in memories that they have. And so the things we worry about, if you see one of our earlier videos, is about what happens if someone owns a blocks and then they just disappear, they forget it where it's at, or they lose access to their blocks, whatnot, right? Then it's suddenly there's no memories. And we were saying that, if you were a traditional NFT project, like if you have one of the apes just never appear anymore, nothing happens to the ape, or one of the lions, no one really cares. It's okay, right? It actually just decreases supply, and it's kind of nice, because they're mostly the same. But in Metablox, the problem is, or the uniqueness, not problem, the uniqueness is that every location is truly non-fungible. It's unique. It has its own memories. So therefore it is kind of a problem when there's a location in the real world that just no one's doing anything with it. There's no memories uploaded to it. Right. And that's something we worry about. We worry about people who, they mint a lot of blocks, which means we collect revenue and we can grow our platform, but then they just forget about it. And that's actually, I think, something we don't. So we'd rather have people who care about the platform mint, as opposed to, just say, hey, I don't care about anything, and I just want to, buy blocks. So I think because our project is so unique, we actually care about different things. And we spend more time communicating our values, the purpose, like why this is important for the next generation, why these memories make sense, and also the game mechanics that bring people back, right? The meta rent, the landmark auctions. So we care about those more. We want to communicate those values so people care, as opposed to, again, saying that, oh yeah, go buy. That's not what we do.
Yeah. I think that's great. Hey, I know sometimes we have these
All right.
ideas.
All
So we
right.
haven't talked about this before, but you're hearing this live. So about that risk, right? If let's just say somebody owns a blocks, but they're not curating it, they're not paying attention to it. So you can imagine a situation where if you own a property in a city, but you don't pay your property taxes and you're not maintaining your property, I think the city can come and take that property from you because you're not paying your property taxes. Now, I'm not suggesting we go and we take the blocks from them, but the true value, whoever owns it, is that they're able to mint those memories, or sorry, add those memories to the blockchain. So I wonder if if you add your memories to the blocks, and if that owner hasn't curated or done anything like on the platform, I wonder if we can auto mint those memories to the blocks. Route those memories to the blocks after like a year. We can give like a ridiculously long amount of time, but if the owner hasn't interacted, I wonder if we can just auto mint. So then at least the people who are adding
A
memories,
couple
they know it's
things.
forever on the
First of all,
on the
the
blockchain.
underlying principle is that obviously people who own their blocks should have that ownership right. The reason why the blockchain is valuable is because it's like, oh, the government can just come in and take things from us. So yeah, so when you have fun things on blockchain,
Yeah.
you have true ownership protection. So I think we honor that principle and belief, and so it's just to keep. I think what June, you were just proposing is like, it's not like someone taking away your blocks, is that, oh, this blocks no memories are going to the memory slots. If no one's curating it, then someone could help curate
Mhm.
it, right? Even though they're not the owner.
Yeah. Someone could help curate, like
Yeah. And
some
maybe
kind of
this
system
owner,
to help
like
curate it.
10 years
Exactly.
later, like founds his blocks, that comes like, oh, wow, my like blocks has a bunch of great memories. The memory slots been leveling up and everyone loves it. I had no idea. So I think that definitely is good. It, if we ever have, and I don't think we'll do that. Keep in mind, every city's own smart contract, so we can improve as times goes. If we really want to go down that route, at least it's like, hey, if an owner hasn't touched for 3 years, they probably lost it. We could potentially have a rule that someone can buy it from the owner, like a forced buy. So they'll send the market price of ETH or Polygon to that wallet that holds that holds the NFT,
Mm.
and then the NFT goes to purchase. So it's like, it's not like we take it away, we buy it at market price, but it's that person probably lost it, or they just don't care about Metablox, like zero. And so it's like, hey, here's money for you because you deserve it. You invest in this early. But someone else should take care of it. I think I like the first way a little bit better, just because it's less intrusive, right? It's just like, hey, you get to curate it on without owning it. But imagine if someone actually lost their blocks, right? Then they would be really sad. So the second one actually allows them, in a weird way, to buy their blocks from them. Yeah,
Well, even
they
if they
can.
lost their blocks, that means they
Yeah,
lost their wallet. Well, that means they lost their wallet, right? So even if we send them
but I
ETH,
think that's still like
they
more
wouldn't be able
right
to get that
than,
ETH.
or maybe they just forgot about the blocks, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
you have your coins, but you don't remember that the NFT is sitting there too. I don't know. I'm just saying that there's these two ways to.
Some people,
Yeah,
some people may just want to buy and hold, right? Like me, I haven't
yeah,
touched any of my crypto for
yeah.
years, right? So maybe they just want to buy and hold. It's an idea, right? And I think it's something to explore as we continue to launch cities. We get to the mint and we see
Yeah.
how people are
But
interacting,
as you guys can
right,
see,
on the
like,
platform.
we're just doing this brainstorming on the meeting. We're not talking about, oh, how do we get more people to mid blocks? Or we're talking about, okay, how do we solve this issue that people who may forget about it. So that's what we really care about.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. This is great. So it's 45 minutes. I'm going to try to cut this up on YouTube so that people are able to find the right pieces, especially the part that we're talking about, the 50% off if you're a reservation holder. And we're doing this because we believe in you. We're thankful that you've been with us on this journey, and the recent hit in your purchasing power because of that, we want to make sure that you're able to still mint the amount or the
I
blocks and the
think
amount of
what
blocks
we can do
you've been
is
wanting to.
have the whole
So
video
we'll
for
work
people
on
to
that.
want begin to end, but then have chunks like they have its own title, like, oh, Metablox slashing cost by half for
Make it
people.
chunky.
Yeah.
Oh, we can make it chunky.
Yeah. We can talk
Can we talk to
Howie, sure.
Howie? Be
Yeah.
helpful
How is my
for Howie to chunk it up. Okay, so I'll post this
and our
full
funny
video, and then
chit-chats,
Howie
you know,
maybe
and
can
correct
chunk
each
it up.
other, like the funny stuff, you know, that's in the full
Can be
thing. But if you just want to
included.
go to like one topic, like one question and
Yeah,
how we
yeah.
answer it, then you could go to that video. Yeah.
I think that works. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, let's do that. Okay, great. Let's do this. So let's do final thoughts for our neighbors. Just want to say we appreciate you. What's important to remember, Monday, May 23rd, we'll figure out the time, the best time. We'll probably do something early, 6 a.m. Pacific time, 7 a.m. Pacific time, something like that. But Monday, May 23rd is our midday. Flag is planted on the ground. After that, take a look. We're going to be in Singapore. Yu-kai's going to be there. Metaloki's going to be there. And our goal, we're working very hard, but our goal is to launch Singapore on June 2nd, following that. And then on June 20th, or I think it's June 20th or June 23rd, we'll be in New York. So we'll launch in New York as well. So by the end of June, we'll be international in Singapore, and we'll also be in New York. And we'll also be hosting an event. So if you are in New York, please hit us up on the Discord. We want to chat with you, make you part of the event, and go there.
Tell
That was
all
my final
your
thoughts.
friends
Kevin,
in Singapore
Yu-kai,
and New
any
York to
final
get
thoughts?
onto Metablox because they actually have the memories.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my final thought.
Cool. All right, that's a good thought. Kevin, any final thoughts?
My final thought is, yes, still working on the products and making more reliable and more quality to make every party in the Metablox have a great experience and
His final
saving their
thought is that
memories.
he'll work harder.
Yep.
Yes.
This is good. We're all going to work really hard, man. We're working very hard. Dude, so as an aside, like having a vacation with the kids is great, but like, I just really love.
No, I totally
working.
understand that.
It sounds so weird, but
yes,
like, I feel like,
right.
you know, like that was, and I love it. And like I tell my wife, you know, I love it, but it's so much work and it's so much patience with the kids and teaching them and taking them and on the plane. And then, and I love it, but working, it feels like a flow, right? Like I'm just like, and you know, it's challenging and there's always challenges, but it
Working
just,
is like a
you
game.
get into a
That's
nice
why you
groove and a
gamify your
flow.
life
It's
with
really
work.
wonderful.
But that's why we have
Yes.
Metablox, because now for work, kind of, you have to go on trips with their family and create memories together. It motivates you.
great.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Force-
motivates you to go
force
back to the
ourselves
world and
have
spend
the-
time with your loved ones. I
Hey,
mean,
should we do Taiwan
obviously
next? Like
we have a
Taipei?
lot of people interested
Yes.
in Taiwan. I'm in Taiwan, but you know, I
Yes,
think
yeah, okay. Yeah,
Austin
we'll
is still
have to look
good on
into
the
that. Okay.
table, and LA is good.
Austin's good. I think. Yeah. LA's. Yeah, we need to
European
get LA.
locations, like 1 or 2
There's a
cities
lot
in
of
Europe
places.
would be nice.
I think so. We have many in Sao Paulo. Yeah, absolutely.
I like
All right.
the Switzerland.
Yeah.
In the Europe.
Yeah, that's good. We'll just every
Yes,
conference
yeah.
that
So if you
launches, we'll
want
go there and we'll have
Metablox
to
to
launch
launch your
that
city,
city.
tell conference organizers to invite us to speak there, and then we'll like work our ass off, like trying to create that city. Yeah,
We'll move
that's
mountains
that's
to
the
get
easiest
there.
way
Yeah.
for you to open up a city to get
Cool.
your conference organizers to invite us.
Awesome. Thanks everyone. Good chatting.
See you in the neighborhood.
And
Bye-bye.
we'll see you in the neighborhood.